Texas Tech football starts out 2-0 under the Matt Wells era. Thanks so much for tuning into Double T Insider. I'm Taylor Peters alongside Robert Giovanetti. The Red Raiders defeated UTEP here at home 38-3. Overall thoughts on Saturday's win?
Just like Montana State, right? You took care of business, you came out, you played good right from the start, you took care of business, you handled yourself defensively, you did what you're supposed to do to a team like that, and you defeated them soundly. Absolutely.
And Texas Tech, I mean, maybe not the fastest start that we've ever seen, but they were able to respond, and they kept up the tempo and they kept up the pace, and Alan Bowman looked good for the second week in a row.
Again, we talked about this last week. Alan is so good that people are saying, hey, Alan seems to have started out slowly, but he just comes out, puts out the numbers. He had the one pick, but I don't necessarily think that was his fault on the interception. And I think, again, if you get those kind of performances out of Alan Bowman in Big 12 play, you're going to be feeling pretty good in November.
And offensively, something that stands out, 12 different receivers were able to catch a pass during that game against UTEP. That distribution is really important, especially right now when you've got so many young guys that you're trying to kind of keep working into the equation.
You know, Coach Wells was asked that in his press conference after the game, if that's a byproduct of what they're trying to do, and he just said so many guys stepping up, right? And you're seeing that in the running game also, that you're not just dependent on one person. I think that also makes Alan's job a little easier.
And he made a really good point, speaking of that, too. He said sometimes we're going to have 11, 10, 9 guys catch pass, but sometimes it's going to be done with 2 or 3.
Right, and you've seen the guys who are going to step up. You're always going to have TJ Vasher, and TJ, again, is going to be a guy late in the year you're going to be counting on. That guy you're going to go to in big situations. TJ is going to be that guy. But you need the other guys to be able to take some of that pressure off TJ as well.
And somebody that's been able to step up and help take that pressure off was Dalton Rigdon. Right now, he's second in receiving yards so far. He had his first career touchdown on Saturday.
Boy, Coach Wells loves Dalton Rigdon. You hear him talk about him and just talk about he comes to work every day, he does what's expected of him every day, he's a lunch pail guy type thing. And I remember that first series against Montana State, I think Dalton caught 3 passes on that drive. And I thought, wow, this guy's going to have a really big year. And he has, you know, it's 2 games, but you like what you've seen.
He kind of just keeps his head down, too, and that's the same thing that you see really from everybody in that slot position, because we've seen Xavier White do it, we've seen McLean Mannix do it, and both of those guys are another ones that have just kind of stepped up and done what they needed to do and just sort of been consistent, which is important.
And a lot of guys we've talked a lot about, and we're saying who's going to be the guy that steps up. Dalton obviously is getting a lot of the publicity, but you can count on those other guys as well.
When you look at the run game, too, it's impressive to know that they were able to run the ball that they did. Armand Shine and Tajon Henry and Sir Roderick Thompson for the second week in a row were all able to get some really good reps in.
You know, Shine's a guy that we talked about this last week again. Who is this guy? And he's been consistent. He's a guy, I think somebody will eventually step up in that group, but they all give you kind of a different look.
Well, let me ask you this question, too. Were you impressed with what they were able to do in the run game, knowing that Terrence Steele and Jack Anderson, 2 of their really important offensive linemen, were out of the game on Saturday?
There's no doubt. And again, UTEP has some talent issues, but I think anytime you go out and impose your will like that team did with the offensive line, that's only going to help. And again, you see Jack Anderson standing over there on the sidelines thinking, like, you got to get this guy back in the game.
And that's hard, too, because that's really testing those 2 men in their leadership, because they still have to be vocal. They still have to help coach their teammates on the sideline. But unfortunately, they're not able to get out there and be effective on the field.
But both those guys did that well. I thought the other night. They were in the game. They were locked in. They were talking to their teammates coming off the field. Yeah. And I think that is a sign of true leadership. And Terrence Steele is a guy that Coach Wells has talked about, his leadership and how he has stepped up since they've been here.
He's a team captain. Yes. I mean, that's exactly what you want from your team captain. We've talked a lot about the offensive side of the ball, but defensively, who was the most impressive to you?
Well, I mean, it's an easy answer. I think Jordan Brooks, he's a leader. There's the way he goes from sideline to sideline, the way he is just not only taking control, but he's so physical. And just the way this defense has been in third down. I mean, I think the stat is 37 of 41 stops on third down. That's quite a testament to what Coach Patterson has been able to do. I think we're seeing a lot of talent on this defensive side of the ball.
And Jordan Brooks, for the second week in a row, led in tackles with 11. But you know, we've talked so much about this really aggressive style of defense, and we've talked about how it suits him, and it really suits the defensive line, too. And I've just been really impressed, not only with Broderick Washington, but you see guys like Tony Bradford and Jalen Hutchings also starting to step up and really showcase their aggression at the defensive line.
You know, and we, with the offensive line as well, and I think we had a lot of credit to Coach Scholes, and the strength and conditioning coach. This is a physical team up front, this Texas Tech team, and a lot different than what we saw last year. And so, again, hard to say it's going to be that way after 2 games, but they controlled the line of scrimmage against both Montana State and UTEP on both sides of the ball. I think Coach Scholes gets a lot of credit for that.
A big victory at home for Texas Tech football, 38-3 over UTEP. But Red Raider soccer also got a pair of wins here. And we talked about Senior Day being against ACU. ACU's a really good team, and they were able to defeat them handily 3-0.
And really explosive in that first half in that ACU game, and just all of a sudden, I think, and Tom has talked about that. Tom Stone has talked about that, and I know you've talked to him later in the show, but how explosive this team can be. And we saw that in that first half against ACU. Before you even knew it, they put 3 goals up.
And Tom talks about so much, we just love an opportunity to be able to play a homestand. You play Friday, you don't have to travel anywhere. You get to have a good home crowd on Friday and then turn around again on Sunday. And they were able to defeat Arkansas State here at home 1-0 on Sunday.
Yeah, a couple of great crowds. And again, we've seen this team defensively. Just the game against New Mexico is that they lost is the only game they've even given up a goal. So obviously another good Tom Stone defensive team. And we've seen the explosiveness, and they'll go back on the road this week. But I think he's got them ready for Big 12 play.
Speaking of that defense, through 7 games, they have defeated opponents 20-3.
That's amazing. Really.
It's amazing. It absolutely is. Congratulations to Red Raider Soccer. As you mentioned, they head back out on the road this week. Well, still to come on Double T Insider, we take a look back at Saturday's victory and see how players are remembering the victims of the Odessa shooting. Welcome back into Double T Insider. Some exciting new changes for the fan experience, and Raider Alley has seen some really exciting new things here to start off the football season.
Yeah, we moved Raider Alley to the engineering key this year. With the Cash Family Dining Center being built next door to the Frazier, it gave us an opportunity to say, what are we going to do with Raider Alley? We decided to move it out to the key, and I think what's happened in the first 2 games, we've seen kind of a transformative experience for Tech fans on game day, and a great tailgate experience. We've had a couple of great bands out there. William Clark Green played against before the UTEP game, and we had an unbelievable crowd out there. I think it's just going to grow from here.
Yeah, William Clark Green was a huge hit, and if you saw pictures on our Twitter page and on Facebook, you can see just how many people were there. If you were to guesstimate, what would you?
100,000. No, it was a lot. It was several thousand people, more than we expected, and that's a good thing. And I think it'll really, hopefully, word of mouth and let people know what's going on out there at Raider Alley.
A good show for fans outside the stadium before the game, and a good show inside the stadium against UTEP. Take a look at Saturday's victory.
I was running with the set. Ray John Henry, first offensive possession, first score of the night. Boy, Brooks so quick.
Had 11 tackles in the opener, had 8 in the first half tonight.
Wow, Red Raiders are all over the UTEP backfield. That was Nelson and Vanasaur that made the tackle behind the line.
We all celebrate as a team when you win. Congratulations on number 2, man. That's big time. The way you're playing right now at home, all right, is exactly what we start to envision. Protect the Jones, okay? Always protect the Jones.
And you see some of our Permian Basin players, McLean Mannix, Des Smith, and Jack Swelch, doing something really special to honor the victims of that Odessa shooting.
Yeah, I think, and you talked about Alan Bowman also. We did the moment of silence before the game, but I know this is really personal to the players. So what did they all do before the game?
So they wrapped yellow tape and they all wrote Odessa Strong. Those 3 young men wrote it on their wrist, but Alan Bowman wrote the names of every victim in Sharpie on his cleats, which is really neat because he's not, from that area, but it still was affecting him and it affected many of the players and coaches on this team. We'll be right back on Double T Insider.
Got to slow it down.
7 yards on the first down run. Flipped out to the left side. That's the second time that's worked tonight. But this is going to work for a touchdown all the way down the sideline, Dalton Rigdon.
Welcome back into Double T Insider. A first career touchdown for Dalton Rigdon less than a month after being put on scholarship.
We talked about this earlier in the show. Coach Wells, I think, is sending a message to his teammates also by saying, if you do the things Dalton does, if you follow Dalton's lead, you too can have this type of success, and it's been borne out on the field.
I had a conversation with Dalton about that touchdown, and he said the very first thing he did when he got to the sideline was hug Dante Thompson and Eric Ezekama, because he said if it wasn't for their blocking, then I never would have scored that touchdown.
Speaks to what Wells just said about him, right, that we talked about. He's a great teammate, went over there and credited others for his success.
I had an opportunity to sit down with offensive coordinator David Yost earlier this week to break down that touchdown play and one more. Take a look. Coach, we're here in the team room. Your team and your coaching staff spends a lot of time watching film in here and in this building. And you guys emphasize and stress to your team preparation. That starts obviously right in here. And there were a couple of touchdowns that we could have gotten to, but the first one we'll start with in the second quarter. About 2 minutes left to go, and we've got Dalton Rigdon. So let's start with that one.
Okay, so actually this started, it was kind of a semi 2-minute drive when we got the ball back. We ran the ball on the first play. Really on the first play we'd had the opportunity to kind of do the same thing as you see here. So we line up in our 3-by-1 formation with our guys all spread out. Allen signals out here and gets us into a position where we have a bubble concept on the outside. And as soon as he pulls it and how we want to attack this defender, and as soon as this defender basically commits to us, then we're going to get the ball on the edge here. These guys now adjust their blocking so they can block for the secondary type throw, because now it's going to happen wider and it's going to happen. Now we'd like to put this ball right on Dalton's face out here so he can catch it, so he can do more with it. DT does a great job of covering his guy up, and then Dalton does a great job here just hitting it, going.
Just
and,
going. It's
running
a track
as fast
meet.
as you can. We're able to kind of use the width of the field, and hence the spread nature of our offense. Our next one here, we get lined up quickly here in our 3-by-1 now. We went with our 4 vertical concepts, so we've got all 4 guys running vertical routes with the adjustments they can make. TJ works his release here, uses his hands to get outside, and then does a really good job here, what we call squeezing. So he's working his way back in, not just trying to run past the guy, but he's squeezing into the guy, leaning on the guy to be able to create space. So Allen has space to do this. Allen knows where he wants to go. It's a 1 safety look. An excellent throw, trying to make sure the safety can't get to it, so he's got to kind of change the trajectory of the ball to keep the safety from being able to help on this and get it to him, because if this is higher, that guy's got a chance to get to it. TJ goes and makes the big catch, and on this, I mean, this is, as coach referred to it, this is like 7-on-7 for the quarterback.
Right.
The line did a great job here. We've got our 5 on their, blocking their 5 guys. They're all in position here. We've got the slide side, we got our big side, attaching these guys. He's standing in a clean pocket that he can set and throw in. Footwork-wise, doesn't affect him at all, so he's able to kind of make the throw exactly the way he wants to make it, and gives us an opportunity for a big play.
And a really good job by both Allen and TJ Vasher. Is that the type of play that you kind of write up for someone with the skill set of TJ, because he's got great hands, he's able to be physical, he's just so long?
Well, we've gotten, and really we need to probably get more shots to him down the field like this, and that's one of our things, because we got to get him vertical more often and take more shots like this. But
Coach, you've taught us so much here.
Thank you very much.
On Touchdown Tuesday, I appreciate your time, and best of luck to you guys this weekend.
Thank you.
Red Raider football will now go on the road and face off against Arizona. 7:30 kick there, 9:30 here.
You need to get a nap before that game kicks. And I'm sure Coach Wells will actually take that into account as he prepares his team this week.
And it's the first road game too, obviously. But Coach Wells just talked about, being able to go on the road and establish some dominance and just be comfortable.
And he said it doesn't matter it's a Pac-12 team, doesn't matter it's a Power 5 team. It's just getting on the road, playing another opponent. And we've seen in their first 2 games against Hawaii and Northern Arizona, they're very explosive offensively.
Best of luck to Red Raider football on the road this week as they take on Arizona. We're talking Red Raider soccer with head coach Tom Stone next on Double T Insider. Red Raider soccer remains undefeated at home after a pair of shutouts on the weekend. Thanks so much for joining us today on Double T Insider. I'm Taylor Peters here with head coach Tom Stone. Coach, a 3-0 victory over an ACU team that you talked about. Really looking forward to playing last week. A 3-0 victory, as we said, but Kirsten Davis gets it started really early. What did you like about the way she played and the way that she started off that momentum really in the first minute of the game?
You know, the start is important in every sport, right? And this team has been particularly good, and Kirsten is just ready to play. She prepares herself well. She doesn't show a lot of emotion. She's kind of just dialed in, and she's not really all about the pregame hype. But when the ref blows the whistle, she's ready to roll and, you know, pounce on that opportunity quickly. And did a great job getting us that early lead. And I think when we're at home with our crowd, we had a huge crowd that night. It really sets the tone for a rough night for our visitors.
Hannah Anderson would knock in the second goal with a PK, and then Demi Kulazakis about 30 seconds would be wide open, an assist from Kirsten Davis to knock it in, a goal for her on senior day. What did you see from that play?
We're super happy for Demi to get a goal on senior day. It was a great finish, by the way. You know, the ball came across. She had a long time to look at it, which sometimes is detrimental, but she tucked it in right off the far post and in. And, you know, you look at Kirsten's day, she scored the first one. Then she created the penalty kick, got fouled from behind on the way to goal, and then crossed it for the third one. So she was an integral part of all of it. But, you know, Demi and Hannah had to finish. And Hannah's a freshman. We have several penalty kick takers. She just starts jogging up from 60 yards away like, I got this. And I think Shar was ready to take it. I think Kirsten would have taken it, but Hannah had done really well that week, and so they stepped aside and she buried it, and we're super happy for her. That's 2 goals for a freshman center back. That's pretty good.
And Kirsten Davis would put up the lone goal again in that 1-0 victory over Arkansas State on Sunday, which was the strangest goal that I've seen in a long time. Walk us through it, break it down for us, tell us what you saw.
I mean, the ball got kind of cut back to Porter, and Amanda Porter's got a great left foot, serves the ball in, and it's a little too close to the keeper, but Kirsten's getting after it. She's hunting the ball. And when she goes up for it and challenges the keeper, they don't foul each other, so it's a fair challenge. And Kirsten gets her head on it. It hits the keeper, and then the keeper's follow-through, she kind of clobbers Kirsten. Still, I don't think a foul, but Katie doesn't realize it goes in, so she's going down. I mean, she's like, referee, I got hammered. And meanwhile, this ball is spinning into the goal. So we're celebrating this goal, and she thinks she's asking for a penalty. And not till she looked around did she realize that it had indeed gone in. And I think for Katie, it was just kind of a funny moment. But you know, when you're rolling, when you're trying to make things happen, and heading is something she's been working on, just to stick her head in there where maybe it didn't belong was a great step forward for her. And we're excited that she got that goal.
You head back out on the road this weekend to Washington State for the Cougar Classic. Coach, good luck to you guys. Stay with us. We'll be right back on Double T Insider. As we mentioned, Red Raider football goes on the road this weekend to face off against Arizona. 7:30 kick their time, 9:30 our time. You can tune in at ESPN.
Texas Tech volleyball finally comes home. They'll play 6 o'clock Monday night against Abilene Christian at the United Supermarkets Arena.
That's all our time for now. Thanks so much for joining us on Double T Insider. For Robert Giovanetti, I'm Taylor Peters.